Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Although this time, not exactly exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left, but the total deterioration and the destruction of Fox News, otherwise known as faux news. They are done, folks. They have completely screwed the pooch on this one, and I don't think they're ever going to recover. And you know, it all started with one man alone. One man that Fox News continues to put at the front of their network. You might be thinking, based on ratings, based on how you associate Fox News, that it's gotta be Tucker Carlson, maybe Hannity, Greg Gutfeld, some of their most popular hosts, and some of the guys over there that are just on point each and every single night. Well, no. Fox News decided to die on the hill of Chris Wallace, a journalist hack who has the allure of a professional, respectable, neutral conveyor of facts, kind of similar to the mystique that Obama created. He has the air of professionalism, but is pretty much of a bias hack as you could possibly imagine. And that exact bias, that exact hypocrisy continues to show to such an extreme degree. Chris Wallace is basically a left-wing operative who pretends to be a neutral conveyor of the story. And this piece right over here will pretty much prove that exact notion. I mean, if the debate that he moderated between Joe Biden and President Trump wasn't enough, this will be the cherry on top and pretty much cement the deal. And so I gotta show you guys this. We got a lot to talk about, but before we do, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so you might be asking me, Hivemind, how do you know that Chris Wallace has been a total lefty since the start? Well, he pretty much proved it right over here, playing identity politics instead of actually having an argument. So of course, you know, we just covered the story about Jill Biden, Joe Biden's wife. She is a doctor, or at least she keeps calling herself a doctor. Everyone calls her Dr. Biden, but in reality, she's a teacher. She just has a PhD with a very interesting, let's just call it lackluster, dissertation. But the argument has merit. Why is she calling herself a doctor when she's not an MD? It's an honorific title that's being used to add an extra level of professionalism to make it seem as if she's some sort of expert, and it's especially dishonest considering she talks about the COVID pandemic without clarifying what kind of doctor she actually is. Not to mention, lefties literally want her to be the Surgeon General when she's not even a doctor. And so the argument that people have is they should clarify, and they probably shouldn't keep referring to her as doctor given the misconceptions within the public. It makes sense. And the example that I used in the last video was of course with Shaquille O'Neal, who does in fact have his PhD, but nobody's calling him Dr. Shaq. No one's saying Dr. O'Neal and Dr. Shaquille O'Neal, and no one thinks that Shaquille O'Neal should be the next Surgeon General of the United States. It's a valid criticism. And so the question is, Chris Wallace, what was his take on this whole ordeal? Well, it's basically the exact same argument you'd hear come out of AOC's mouth, or pretty much anyone from the squad. Sexism, misogyny. Check this out.
Finally, there has been some criticism recently from conservatives, including some conservatives on Fox News, about the fact that First Lady-to-be Jill Biden goes by the title doctor. I wonder, what is the Biden's reaction to that, especially given the fact that so many people over the years, I think of Dr. Henry Kissinger, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, have gone by the title doctor, even though they're not medical doctors, and nobody seems to have made a fuss about that.
That's exactly right, Chris. It's a bit perplexing to me, and I'm sure to millions of Americans, that with thousands of people dying every day of COVID, millions out of work, that anyone would wake up in the morning and decide that the focus they need to have, the way they contribute to society that day, is to question whether or not Dr. Jill Biden, someone who's still teaching, who has a PhD in education, should be called a doctor or not. Of course she should, as anyone who works through that challenging process of getting a PhD. It's a really silly, sexist, and absurd conversation that's happening a bit in society, and I appreciate you asking me about it.
So Chris Wallace criticizes the silly, sexist, and absurd conversation about, quote, Dr. Jill Biden, claiming Dr. Martin Luther King was not a medical doctor. And sure, we get it, but no one thought Dr. Martin Luther King was an actual doctor. People literally think Jill Biden is an MD. That's obviously the issue, but any type of leftist argument every single time always boils down to identity identity politics and grifting on that exact notion. Anyone who criticizes me as a racist bigot, therefore I have won every single argument. You can't ever criticize anyone on the left who's from any type of protected group whatsoever. If the person you're criticizing is not a straight white male, then you're automatically a bigot. It's not an argument. It's a tactic, a malicious, manipulative tactic to use others' sensibilities and emotions as a means to win. It's absolutely despicable, frankly. And to boil the whole thing down to people are just criticizing Jill because she's a woman is a complete joke. If it was President-elect Jill Biden, Dr. Joe Biden, and Joe Biden was going around sniffing his shoes on national TV and stumbling through all of his sentences, and then people were going around saying, oh, Dr. Joe Biden, he should be the next Surgeon General of the United States, the criticism would be there just as strong, if not probably even stronger, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the gender of the person being criticized. It's to do with the dynamic and the use and the misconceptions around the title itself. It's a very simple concept that lefties just can't seem to wrap their heads around. And so turns out Chris Wallace is the leftist hack that we knew him to be basically since the start. Well, maybe not. I gave him a decent amount of credit headed into the debate. Of course, before we actually saw him conduct the work. But this is the guy that Fox News selected to moderate the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The overt bias on full display, 2 versus 1, putting the president on defense from the start. Fox News is a joke, and they knew exactly what they were doing since the start. And Chris Wallace has spent the last month and a half defending Joe Biden and attacking the president at every single point and turn on his TV show. Who remembers this lovely exchange?
Well, Chris, I welcome Vice President Biden to the club. Since the middle of April, the president's guidelines for reopening have called for wearing masks.
President-elect, sir.
The president has called. The president has.
Now Fox News continues to censor and debunk their own hosts. If you're not pushing the same narrative that Chris Wallace is on Fox News, the network itself is now coming out, clarifying and quote debunking claims from their own hosts. Fox News debunks election issues claims made by 3 of its own hosts after an electric voting company threatened legal action over rigged claims. And so Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, Janine Pirro, as well as a couple others are giving their opinions. Once again, something which apparently you're not allowed to do if it goes against leftist dogma and the narrative that the establishment is trying to push. And so Fox News is actively countering the narratives, countering the opinions of their opinion hosts, because of course, what do they care about? They care more about protecting themselves from any type of legal threat than they care about the integrity of their actual network. It's a complete joke. And so it's really no surprise that Newsmax TV is scoring a ratings win over Fox News for the first time ever. It's really no surprise that pretty much all of these networks are in serious trouble if Biden does in fact get inaugurated on January 20th. If that's the case, then what are they going to do? Fox News is trying to appeal to some never-Trumper base that doesn't exist if we understand the numbers here, folks. The Trump bump is pretty much going to be dead, and most likely Trump's going to start his own damn network. MSDNC, CNN, ABC, CBS, what are they going to do? What are they going to do without the constant attack on the current president and every step that he takes? What are they going to do if they can't write hit piece articles on the president and the fact that, oh, he wore 2 different color socks today. He must be in severe mental decline. Oh, it must be a dog whistle to the far right. 1 sock was white and 1 sock was black. Oh my God, he's a racist. What are they gonna do? The answer is probably not much. And they're already starting to get desperate, you can tell, trying to drum up some sort of kooky theory about violence after Trump leaves office. MSNBC's Jason Johnson predicts wave of violence after Trump leaves office. I don't think so, bucko. Not to mention, what about the wave of violence that we've seen from the left wing over the last couple months? Didn't seem like you predicted anything there, but one thing I'll tell you is conservatives don't stoop down to the same terroristic levels as the left. They have something called a job and a family, and they're not willing to throw it away to fight some communist insurrection of government or because they drank the leftist Kool-Aid that your network pushes. These people are a complete joke. They're going out of business, and Fox News is no different from MSDNC. They're all a bunch of corporate hacks pushing divisive talking points and rhetoric, pitting Americans against themselves, and it's about time that they start seriously going out of business. If anything can solve this ridiculous state of current media, it's the market and consumer dollars. The media is one of the most destructive forces in American history, in world history, and Western civilization history, and the only way that you can fix it is by not watching it, not supporting it, and pretending it doesn't exist and doing your own research. It's pretty much as simple as that, folks. And it's nice to see that that trend might be actually starting. But that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to leave a like, a comment, comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers, of course, so these mega corporation media hacks can dominate the market. So make sure to support as many independent political commentators as you can, not only me, but everyone else out there, of course. Now, I gotta get back to work. There's a whole load of hypocrisy that must be exposed on a daily basis, so I'm gonna get to that. I wanna thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.